Welcome to Fargo Talks Fargo, an unofficial podcast on the FX television series. Fargo Talks Fargo is sponsored by Fargo Brewing Company and their tasty and always delicious Wood Chipper India Pale Ale. Go to fargobrewing.com to learn more. So, Sharvie, I don't know how I'm supposed to greet you, but you are in Japan.
I am.
It's already tomorrow. It's Monday for you. It's Sunday for me.
That's right. Konnichiwa.
How you doing? Konnichiwa. So we're gonna like rock our way through this episode because you've got some place to be, and I want to get this episode out. So
yep.
I think I don't know particularly where I want to start, but I do want to say this just to open is that I really feel like we're still learning a lot right now. Like I feel like there's not as many nuggets. I don't feel like I have as firm a grasp as I have on previous seasons. Do you?
Yes, definitely. The cards are still being dealt, if you will.
Yeah, right. And that is that just due to our lack of knowledge of bridge playing?
You know what? I don't know. I think we're just kind of easing into the world and easing into the characters. Certainly. We're building off of episode 1 for sure. We're getting a little bit more into the brothers, which is really fun. What I like about the brothers is it is kind of set up like a bridge game because in bridge you have a partner, right?
Yes.
Okay. So and they call the positions like north, south, east, west, right? And you sit across from each other.
So. Yeah.
We're learning slowly.
And another episode where the title comes from that. So we're talking, right. This week,
the principle of restricted choice, right?
Yeah. Go ahead. Keep going, brother.
Yeah. So we've got basically Emmett and Sai, they're two bridge partners, and then Nikki and Ray. So who are bridge partners in the actual world. So this is kind of fun.
Yeah. And on top of it, then you've got the wrench in the whole thing, which is VM Varga and his whole world, which is impinging upon all of this in its own strange way with VM Varga and then Chief Gloria, or well, I don't know, is she still Chief? Who knows? We still haven't completely found out. I feel like the new guy has made his statement known that when she takes some time off and comes back that he'll be Chief. But
yeah, and that was a nice surprise to see the new Chief, guy from Boardwalk Empire.
I said when I was on the line with Jerome that I was gonna know what that was, but of course,
Jerome.
I screwed that up. Mm-hmm. So thanks again to Jerome, who I think was going to be, if he's available, he's going to be sitting in again for you because you will be unavailable next Wednesday. But Sheriff Mo Damick, played by Shea Wiggum.
Yes, another classic Fargo name, Mo Damick.
I think there's all these kind of teams and this constant push pull, and I think my classic thing about this episode, just from a Midwest standpoint, is that and I know we've talked about this before, and I still want to find the article. And I say talked about, I mean I think we talked about it like in season 2 is just the quintessential passive aggressive Midwestern thing that I think is culminated very well in the conversation between Emmett and Ray in front of his house. Just you think everyone's being nice, but you learn later that they just no, not so much. But it's just people in the Midwest just aren't that outwardly rude to each other, and there's a thing. But that's kind of just this overtone that I felt that I had a feeling about in terms of like looking at this again.
Sure. Do you think, so the title, The Principle of Restricted Choice, did you look into this much? Do you think that that when the brothers are talking, they're kind of, they're playing that game because they're trying to guess each other's next move a little bit? That's kind of how I felt. And then that there was this disconnect between Ray and Nikki, obviously, because of Nikki's actions, which we can get into in a bit. But the whole idea of the principle of restricted choice, and correct me if I'm wrong because it's a little bit confusing, is basically kind of boils down to the idea of sort of getting an idea of the hand that your opponents are holding.
Right, yeah.
Just based on the cards they play and the odds of which cards that they probably don't have and the cards that they probably do have based on what they play, right? I mean, seems pretty basic and kind of could be applied to really any situation or any game, really, that involves cards.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, if you look this up, and we're not pros at this here, so if we're screwing this up, somebody can call us on it. That's just fine. But it's a matter of like laying out some cards to kind of, open the kimono a little bit, so to speak, and let people know what kind of game you got going. And because of that, you see some things, and there's only so many outcomes that can happen. There's some reference to kind of restricted choice, kind of like if you've ever watched to make a deal, how to make a deal, or right? Let's make a deal with Monty Hall issue. Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, well, you could have this, but then that there's these things, and you're not quite sure, but it's. I kind of, my current feeling about it is that it's a mathematical thing. The minute it's just like counting cards to some degree.
Yeah,
you lay down a certain amount of cards, and you only know there's a certain amount that can be left, and then there's odds between it being in one of three other players' hands, and on top of that, it's just kind of setting the tone for what kind of game you may or may not be trying to play. But I do think it's interesting that it's these two brothers that are doing, but I feel like the people pushing these hands heavier are Nikki and Sai right now.
Yeah, Nikki and Sai are definitely the manipulators. They're really driving the direction that their partners are going. I love the Monty Hall problem. I think it's fascinating. If you don't know it, which you probably do, but I would look it up. I think it's totally awesome. So, in terms of the principle of restricted choices, I'm thinking like Nikki. So the brothers are talking, right? Ray's distracting Emmett while Nikki's trying to sneak in and steal the stamp. Well, when Nikki gets into Emmett's office, she realizes the stamp is gone. So she has to play the best card she has right now. And that just happens to be writing a bloody message on Emmett's ass artwork. Burrow.
She calls it a burrow. Yeah, I mean, and we're skipping quite a bit ahead here, but we're also just trying to be conscious of the time that you have right now. But I do want to just really quick, so we find out that the award, I'm sorry, I just forgot the name. They don't call it a Hugo. They call it something else. It's in the paper clipping, and forgive me, I'm not going to look it up right this very minute. But
it's called the Golden Planet.
The Golden Planet. That's probably just a clearance issue or some copyright problems that they didn't want to deal with.
Sure, yeah.
Doing, but I am kind of curious. There's maybe it's just this is the problem. This is the thing. We get a lot of these things from Noah Hawley, right? These little nuggets, and he's really good at not letting us know if it's going to be something real or not. Like, is all this sci-fi like some sort of tie-in to season 2 or isn't it, or is it just coincidental and he's just kind of screwing with our heads? And same with the things I'm looking at this. There was some commentary in the newspaper clipping where on the third column on the right, it talks about something about misspelling things, and I'm wondering if that's the why and these things, and it's just another chuck back to like unintended consequences of not having the right person, the right name, or changing your name, or doing these things, because we also have this other name that we can talk about in a little bit here of Yuri, who is now who's offed Irv, the lawyer who evidently needs some serious IT help, because that's some. Oh, by the way, did you notice the iGoogle?
Yeah,
that's been gone for a while. But I am curious about one thing. If there's going to be any time to this, there's this picture of this woman. All these books, this newspaper clipping, but this one woman, and it says, "With all my love, Vivian Lord." I'm not sure if that has a tie to anything. If anybody has any great stuff, great. I'm just still not sure about this mouth glued shut business. I don't know what to make of that. Like, how did Maurice choose that? I'm just a little lost on that at the moment, because what would give he didn't seem sure when Maurice showed up in the bathroom. He didn't seem positive that the guy was dead. But how would anyone live if you glued their nose and mouth shut?
Right.
And I'm sure somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, he was all messed up on pot," but you're in Colorado. It's like, really? It'll just make you like a hungrier assassin, but I don't know if it's
hungrier and lazier. Probably. I don't. I think gluing somebody's nose and mouth shut sounds like a pretty. It sounds like a chore, man. It sounds like that's a craft I wouldn't want to get into.
Yeah, I've got some questions about that because and I'm only bringing that up because they brought it up again.
Right.
You know.
So let's step it back a little bit and kind of
sure
and pace ourselves through this a little bit. So when are we at Ennis's house or are we at Gloria's house when we open?
We're at Gloria's house. She's
Okay.
brought that box home and
Okay.
she's rifling through the books. She's looking at the newspaper clipping and her one of her deputies shows up and is talking to her and she seems a little
Right.
annoyed that he's there right away, but
Just invites himself in, goes straight to the coffee.
starts,
Is that coffee?
that's what I do.
So she seems to know that Ennis has this sort of alter ego, right? Because she does allude to the fact that Ennis and this Thaddeus Mobley author are one and the same.
Or
So
she's assuming it, I guess. Is it? I think
yeah,
it is.
I
but
want to know, does she know or is she kind of speculating?
I think that's where she's at. She's saying this is this person, and she just doesn't know how to go about figuring out who he really was yet. You know, because we found out that that they hadn't been married that long until her mother passed away, and then hooked up with Ennis. But talk about terrible choices. If he is Thaddeus Mobley and he changes his name to Ennis Stussy, like what? Like how do you pick that name? And look, it ends up getting your shit glued shut and you die in front of your freezer, staring into the endless abyss.
So we see this newspaper clipping, which you just brought up, and we see the what the hell is it called that I just said? I just had it up. But anyway, the award, presumably being held by Thaddeus Mobley, although he's super young.
Yeah, and some other kind of bearded-looking movie character. Well, I thought it was weird that there was like this movie premiere thing from California, but didn't it say a motel in the background?
Is that the motel from season 2?
I had that very moment, and just heads up, drive-through, more food chains converting to drive-throughs.
I loved that little detail on the far right of the newspaper. They're talking about restaurant chains starting to experiment in drive-throughs.
Mm-hmm. It's a new service added because of the amount of military training bases in the area that restrict members to leave their cars.
Is that really why the drive-through started?
I don't know. I mean, I pulled this up real quick.
I did see that. I did find out that the very first drive-through in the United States was called Red's Giant Hamburg. I think that was on Route 66, is what I believe I pulled up.
Really?
Do you know the longest running drive-through in the United States?
Sure.
Can you guess?
What is it? Well, it's not McDonald's.
Nope, it's In-N-Out.
No way.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And the first drive-through focused chain, Jack in the Box.
Really?
Yep.
What I can tell you, though, is that the article was from the Los Angeles Tribune from Friday, June 20th, 1970. I'm looking at, I can't completely tell you, but it looks like 5 or 6. So anyway, were you headed somewhere with this, or were you just explaining?
No, I was just kind of, I did some research into trying to find out which restaurant was the first in Fargo to have a drive-through, but I couldn't find out. As far as like a drive-in, there was King Leo's. That was believed to be the first drive-in, but I don't think the first King Leo's had a drive-through. King Leo's,
I don't think so either.
King Leo's opened sometime around 1960 in Fargo, which was sort of like a McDonald's, opened by a guy named Leon Latz of Rochester, Minnesota.
Yeah. Hey, good to know. But yeah, I just, it's just, there's so much stuff. I feel like we're just getting kind of fed, and I'm not sure what's up yet. So I'm currently withholding too much of more of my conspiracy theory.
Oh, really?
A little bit. I feel.
Why are you withholding? This is a podcast. Let's see it. Let's dish it out.
I'm saying I don't have as much because I'm not so sure. I am stuck on this whole. I am back to. I mean, if we can move ahead here, I want to know why technology doesn't work for her.
Right.
her phone doesn't work, right? She's having problems on the telephone. She gets to the office, and also this is going to come back to haunt us. What's his face, whose name is gone from me because I don't know what his name is, but her cohort, he says, "Well, hold up, forgot my gun." You know, he left it in the car. I feel like that's a sign of something
that definitely is. Yeah.
And then she's standing there with the auto door, and it doesn't open for her. So and she has this aversion to technology, and she doesn't think it's that great. But is it because it doesn't actually work for her? You know, is she I'm going to get all Better Call Saul about it. You know, has she got some sort of electrical interference? Is she? I don't know. I want to know what it is. You know, Jerome was saying like it's almost like things don't see her, but I'm not sure yet. It's a deal.
Yeah. I think it's safe to assume, in my mind, that her aversion to technology will save her life, ultimately.
Yes, because there's nothing that she can dig up, enter, or put online. Yeah, I mean, in complete juxtaposition to this, Irv Blumkin, you know, and this whole conversation, you know, where he's like, so let me get this straight. I think it's really funny that Irv is such like an asshole about like, listen here, you dumb shits. You get $1 million from a guy who you don't even know his first name, et cetera, et cetera. And then in the end, it's his complete stupidity about how to operate Google and a computer that gets him launched off a parking garage, you know? But I said it on the hot dish. I'm going to say it again. Bet one of my favorite lines is "Friend this cocksucker on Facebook and reel him in."
Yeah, it is awesome that he. I mean, it's hard to get over the name Blumkin.
He's missing the P.
It's amazing that. I mean, what a classic like stereotype of somebody around that age in that area. First of all, they're talking about using Facebook. Then he can't use Google, and he downloads freaking malware.
Yeah, it was a weird search result, though. Like, when was the last time you had, like, one search result on Google? But you know what? I have to add that to just my giant list of... There's also not a giant crime syndicate in this area that I can speak of either.
Yeah, well, that you know of.
This is a story. As the word true slowly fades out.
There is a building in downtown Fargo called the Syndicate. Maybe they're just being too obvious about it.
Yeah, you know, it could be that.
If that still exists. Does that still exist?
Yeah, it's still around. But, so, you know, so the whole spiel goes, and we get this, we get fully introduced. Or do you have any more you want to add on that?
No, go ahead.
I'm trying to be your clock keeper here because I know you have an appointment coming up. Varga shows up and just parks the truck wherever the hell he wants.
Yeah, he's cruising down the road, passing the Caterpillar or the grader on the, which there are a lot of in that part of the country. A lot of dirt road graders.
I feel like these things are just more of these like badass. Let's get VM to say some really entertaining stuff. He doesn't actually... Do you notice that he doesn't need a lot of dialogue back to make his scenes work? Because he turns and looks at a Midwesterner, and they just kind of, what? And then he just comments back with like this unleashing of like words or knowledge or things like that. But
do you think that when VM and the big truck are pulling into that parking lot, that's a little... Didn't that remind you a little bit of the scene with Jerry Lundegaard and the parking lot attendant from the original Fargo? I mean, it didn't have the exact verbatim quotes that they did pull off in season 1, but I still thought it was a little bit of the same structure.
No, and it also had that whole, eventually there's this deal, you know, this parking lot thing has its own connection to Jerry just on its own.
Right, of course, yeah.
There is a comment about what's the guy's name? You know, oh, we should talk to so and so about this. I can't remember. I'm really sorry. They know what I'm talking about. People know what's up. Oh yeah, we should call so and so about the developing of this stuff. And it's a similar name from the movie.
What is it? Stan.
Yeah, it's like some sort of name like that.
Stan Grossman.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
But then again, I hear the word Grossman in so many TV shows and movies. But
Stan Grossman was Wade's partner, right, in the original movie.
Yes, that's correct. That's what it was. But
and then,
this whole little scenario also brought up my favorite. We don't know what's in those. I think it's slave girls.
Oh my God, that was so awkward.
Sai
just immediately goes to slave girls, and then and when Emmett is so surprised by it, Sai still maintains this like guilty ass look, doesn't he?
Yes.
Like, oh
yes.
yeah, of course not slave girls.
Definitely not slave
I have
girls.
no interest in that topic whatsoever. Maybe.
Yeah. I
won't
still
come back
think
most likely, but I would love for him to just be like, turn out to be this like, which he does kind of have the characteristics of some sort of guy who's got a little bit of power, and a lot of times that comes with some sort of weird perversion that's hidden away, and maybe that will come out, maybe not. But the Hummer that he drives certainly backs up that type of character.
Says a lot about the guy.
And I will say, there's a lot of people that do actually drive around, or did at this time, especially 2008 to 2010-ish. Those H2 Hummers were pretty popular in Fargo, and I don't think I liked a single person that ever drove one.
Yeah, it was.
Especially when the H3 came out, because the H3 came out, and you're just driving a huge ass car to make a statement, a car where you're going to freaking park at Target and take up 2 spaces. And
you sure know a lot about Hummers.
Well, they're just not even like great vehicles for the area. They're just big. They make a statement for sure. And maybe if you're living in like anywhere else, it would be a fine vehicle for the terrain and the weather.
No.
But in Fargo, they're just shitty vehicles. I think the H3 had 5 cylinders or something.
It's just ridiculous.
I don't know a lot about cars, but I do despise those vehicles because they were always taking up multiple parking spaces.
Yeah, the asshole park jobs all the time. I do like the mistaken the whole once we get back into when she's digging into this, when Gloria's out talking to the guy at the gas station, which is the UFA at the UFA there. That T-shirt did come into play because he says, I think he's Russian. And now we have this, complete tie-in, a little bit of this, like, a mistaken identity. He's a Russian. Now, not only that, we have Yuri, who is a Russian guy or a Cossack, as we learn in the parking garage before they chuck Irv off the thing. Which, by the way, Maggie Phillips has chosen 2 Ural Cossack singers. Song. So if you want to know more about that, I'm not going to go deep dive into that because we don't have time right now. But about the Cossacks, Cossacks, I believe, and the Russians during the World War, and the fact that a bunch of them defected and actually fought for the Germans, etc., etc. There's all sorts of nasty stuff that happened, and Stalin, guy's kind of a dickwad. So big surprise there. Anyway, bad things, Cossacks, lots of history. And that's where the story about Irv talking about men in the night and horses and stuff, and he admits that he's a Cossack.
Yeah, and he's even carrying around that Volchatka whip.
Yeah. So there's interesting things going on there. I think this is the beginning of our East German mistaken identity. Interesting point coming somewhere.
So,
right?
Do you think this is the same Yuri that basically got away, or so we can presume, with killing his girlfriend?
No, it can't be the same one. There's too much age.
You think so?
Difference.
I mean, obviously he does.
Hell yeah, dude! That was
young.
1988, and it's 2010. So I also do this whole. I'm doing this whole. But what if it's this name? This infamous name, and somebody took on the identity, or something. Well, I think we'll find out more. Or it's a son, or something. Because look, we've already got a guy who's, so Thaddeus Mobley, right? Who comes up with that name? Right? If Thaddeus Mobley was that guy's real name, right? I mean, I'm assuming that it's like a nom de plume.
Right, exactly.
And that's not even his real name. So now we've got Gloria who thinks it's Thaddeus Mobley, but then he became Ennis, and I still think that there's some other name somewhere behind Thaddeus. So, rando comment. I feel like that apartment, Nikki Swengo's apartment, almost looks like the butcher shop just redone.
Oh, yeah? You think so?
Yeah, and I need to ask. We did have here's my quick notes that I promised. And I'll read these real fast so we stay on time.
Yeah, let's do
it. Jason from Calgary wrote in and just says Fargo's got a lot of scenes shot in this Inglewood neighborhood of Calgary, and that pub that you were talking about, Swans. It's actually called the Swans of Inglewood. It's directly across the street from the exterior shots of Nikki's apartment in real life. So literally that front door where the AC unit drops on Maurice, across the street is where actually the real life Swans is. And he said from that vantage point, and thanks so much, Jason, for writing in. Keep the good stuff coming. He says if you go down from that point, you can see the small diner where you can see the flickering die promo shot is right in there, and it's also the same place from season 1 where Lester gets beat up by Hess, and yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going on. And then the UFA is actually the United Farmers of Alberta, and it's about an hour outside Calgary, and he gave me some fun comments about the red owl is there, and the public library are close to there, and it's a tiny town. But he just said it's funny the things that he's seen that they'll choose to cover up via CGI or actually change signs, and that diner light sign, they actually just put that up, and it was only up for a while, and it's like, so they'll put up a huge diner sign, but they won't like CGI out UFA.
Right. Well, that's
so. Thanks, Jason.
Expensive.
We really do appreciate. We really do appreciate those hot tips coming from our neighbors to the north, and hopefully,
keep it coming, everybody.
There someday. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I broke the stuff with us there.
Well, you did bring up the Red Owl again, and speaking of the Red Owl, I did want to mention that somebody on Reddit, on the subreddit for Fargo, which is r/Fargo TV, they brought up the idea, or the kind of coincidence, that the Red Owl was bought up in 1988, which is the same year that we opened up the show season on, which I thought was kind of interesting.
That is kind of cool.
Maybe they were bought up by VM Varga.
Who knows? I'm gonna go to the things that I think are kind of more important. There's always a lot of good things in here, and there was a lot of good comments. So we know that I feel like I'm out of order a little bit here, but we know that Ray finds out that the accidental death is this okay thing, and Nikki, I have to admit, when she talked about being on her period, I just thought that's a really random thing to bring up.
Of course, yeah.
I guess now I know why, but so obviously she's going to get the hell out of Dodge, and she needs to find a new place, but is Cheese all messed up? And this is where this plan is hatched for what I was talking about earlier, about this just quintessential passive-aggressive Midwestern thing. Like, he goes there under the guise of this, and he's going to fake this. Well, Nikki sneaks in the back to go do it, but in true Fargo fashion, is it me, or does it just seem like no matter what anybody does, they're fucked?
Well,
in a way, right now, like right now, like I feel like no matter what Ray and Emmett are doing, there are powers beyond them that are actually the controllers of these situations. It's VM Varga, and they both think they're doing these things that are putting them in, jockeying them to these good positions, but they're just leaves floating in the stream of something even more powerful than them. And they may be kind of change course, but
I think you're hitting on precisely what the show title is: the principle of restricted choice. You're exactly right. No matter what, the cards that their opponents have are restricting their ability to really outmaneuver them. They're playing the best hand they can, but it's pretty much equal or lesser than the one that's on the table, at least for now.
Right.
There's no leverage on the side of the characters that we're really deep diving into at the moment.
I just the things that I kind of like randomly notice is that they both do this thing where they both one by one squat down, and these are random things I'm noticing, and they like brush away the snow with their sleeves.
I love that because I've done that 1,000 times in my life. Sat on one of those cold benches.
Yeah,
you pull your sleeve out, brush the snow off.
Yeah, and then I can't remember exactly what he says, but I know there's this cut away to his boots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about this, but I just feel like there's this it's the third time now that we've paid attention to people's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
The mistake in Yuri in the opening with his the snow melting into the drain. Emmett at one point tries to leave home in his house shoes, and now there's this other. I feel like there's this shoe thing slowly.
And now we got Ray's like piss covered boots.
Yes,
that are the best thing he has at the moment. His best hand is piss covered boots.
Yeah, because they're two different colors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got two different boots on, and he's just like, yeah, it's hard. It's it's a problem. It's a problem with the job. But Nikki, you know, we all know what happens here. You know, there's no major thing, but we know that Nikki thinks that he's playing. So this is exactly what you were just talking about.
Exactly.
Nikki thinks that Emmett is playing this hand against them, but it's not even that hand. It turns out the cleaning lady, some unintended consequence, has set forth this other thing. So she tries to make a ridiculous power move. It makes me wonder about, I don't know, it seems like such a Maurice move. You know, you walk in and you tear a page out of the phone book, and instead of just doing this, you're going to leave behind your DNA. Not that I feel like Emmett's going to call the cops and be like, "Yeah, I got tamponed.
Right.
You need to get out here. I've been vandalized with."
What's the word? What's the
cousin Flo? Cousin Flo has vandalized my abode. This aggression, you know, will not stand.
Yeah. What is the line they say? Feminine hygiene deployed as a weapon.
Right.
That was amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
I got a good snort out of that one. You know what? I have to admit, I was really kind of thrown off my expectations after that. I was let down a little bit, I think, even though it did surprise me. So maybe it's for the better. When after Nikki did her thing and the brothers realized it, or Emmett realized it, I was totally thinking he was going to think that was a move by VM Varga or like some other party. Did you not? Am I the only one here?
No.
Oh, damn.
I think I can't say I was with you on that one.
This was right before the actual tampon surfaced. I thought it was going to be just like a warning shot from VM Varga, even though that's not really his style, I guess. So maybe I'm just an idiot thinking that.
VM Varga appears to be in his own right for the most part. If he is a mental intimidator, and if he's going to physically intimidate you, so far as what we know is that you won't be physically intimidated. You'll be killed.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That's my thing, is that it's like if Mimo, right? If Mimo and Yuri show up at your door unannounced, you dead. Right, in the Who Dead Next series. But I do think that, yeah, but that's also where this whole Psy thing takes over. He kind of beats his chest and he's like, "No, you listen here, Emmett." It's like he's had this plan working all along in his head, and he's like, now he finally pulls the ripcord on it, and he's like, "Here's what we're gonna do, brother." Wow, that just sounded like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, it did.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Oh, brother. Yeah, brother.
And he just says, you don't have to deal with this. I'm here. This is me. I'm gonna take care of this. This is something you don't ever need to see that cocksucker again. He'll unfriend him on Facebook. Something tells me all of them suck at Facebook. Which, by the way, if you head to facebook.com/FargoTalksFargo, that's where we sometimes make comments, and feel free to follow us there. We'll be posting a little bit more coming along shortly there. Do you have any more thoughts about that? And I do think it was an interesting point. First time that I feel like Ray was a little disappointed in Nikki's choices.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Usually he's so far in two whole episodes. I feel like he's always been like, yep, she knows about the chi, she knows about all these things. She did the smart move, giving a fake name and doing all these things. Nikki knows best. Nikki knows best. Nikki knows best. But then he actually is the one that was like, what? Like a why?
Yeah, for the first time in probably decades, he's feeling good about his relationship with his brother, because he kind of forgot what they were. I think he forgot what they were doing. He forgot what the entire mission was. And
I think they both had an actual moment there.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of forgot why he was there and realized how much he loved his brother. And I think that might come back later where these guys might end up on the same side. Speculation, of course. But yeah, he kind of, they rediscovered their love for each other, which probably hasn't existed since, childhood, or at least early adulthood. Right. And then he's feeling all good about himself, and then he forgot. Yeah. Oh yeah. My girlfriend is in there stealing from him, or that would be the best case scenario.
Right. Oh God. And then you go to the funeral home scene, and it's I saw that they were digging in the background like they're going to bury somebody, and I don't know anyone. It's December, right? Because Christmas trees are up. Right. They don't bury people around here in December. They put you in the crypt and they wait till spring, generally speaking, unless it's really warm. It can be done,
but it depends on how the winter has been.
The ground is pretty damn cold.
It is
frozen. Yeah,
that's right.
It's like trying to scoop out of a block of ice. So, but hey, way to go! They got some stuff in the background going on for scenery. I also thought, coming full circle again to me continuing to talk about mistaken identity, like that guy is just so Midwestern and lost, but at the same time, he's like confusing people and things. But then on the other side of that, he randomly can like pull out this nugget of like, oh, you're buried in plot C51.
Well, that's his business. He's on top of his business.
Yeah. You're just your numbers there, and you're not necessarily people, but he just doesn't really have it put together. But I feel like I need to rewatch that scene because it's in there for a reason, and I don't understand the reason that scene is there for. So if anyone has any feelings about why that's there, I mean, I know it's kind of close to the Sorry Big Lebowski scene where they go to pick up Donnie, but it's not the same. There's a completely different tone to that. They're not there without any money. They don't need to go across the street to the Ralphs and get a coffee can and any of that jazz. This is like everything's paid for, it's taken care of, and there's this mixing up of people. So the only thing I keep thinking is are they going to bury him, and then they're going to need to find out what happened to him, and then they're going to go dig up the wrong person in some sort of like exhume the body, see what happened grave thing. I don't know. I'm kind of confused I'm just confused as to why that scene had to happen. I mean, I know it's part of the natural progress of somebody dying and getting them, in the dirt, but like I said, they wouldn't. All my relatives that have ever died in the winter, you go to the funeral, and after that they cart your casket off to deep storage till the spring. So.
Yeah, I think it really does depend just on the climate at the time. I know we buried our grandfather in the middle of the winter, and that was like December 31st.
Was it a actual casket, or was it just the little urn?
It was a casket.
Urn? Oh, okay. Hey, okay. Well, I stand corrected.
Well, I do think that isn't the usual case, though.
Yeah. So anyway, that's there's some fun Midwestern facts.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah, super fun. So okay, so here's the deal. Cy is I don't know. Hopefully, I'm not missing anything else here. Cy is it's time for Cy to taking care of business every day.
Yeah, Cy's feeling like a real tough guy right now. He's got a little power trip. Ego boost going on.
I did want to know how he figured out where Ray was, so they very viably are working in the Twin Cities, and he's just it's a pretty big metro pop in 2010, and he's like, hey, I'm just gonna randomly, I don't know, maybe they got some people on that.
Well,
either way, he shows up and
if you take it out of context of the actual real world, and you just think of the Fargo universe, he could have maybe just made a call to a diner and said, hey, you seen Ray around?
Yeah, is he there?
Hey, is Ray there?
Yeah.
Yep, he is. Okay, that's enough. Have a good day then.
Oh, I do love pausing on these and seeing what they put in the newspapers just for fun. It's like youth group commended by St. Cloud City Council for fundraising successes. And the other one is link between Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal discovered. That's the inside of the paper, and I have a really hard time imagining Ray getting a lot out of that. This is a man who like watches and catches pee for a living right now, at least from what we've been shown. But Cy comes in here and plays his big hand. He's who's a big boy now? Cy's a big boy.
Yep.
right?
Yep. And Sai doesn't have to. So Sai gets mad, slams his hands on the table, gives a stern talking to Ray, gives Ray $20 from, Emmett's bank account, I guess. And he didn't have to do that, which was hilarious. It's like he's just doing it as a power trip move.
It's an example of let me show you money in my pocket.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, he pulls out a big wad, knows this guy's broke.
Yeah.
And gives him a 20. And then I love, that was a pretty good move from Ray with a middle finger pulling out of his pocket. I mean, who hasn't done that to their buddy?
I'm just actually quickly pulled this back up and I'm trying to play it back just a tish because I remember I brought up to Jerome, I was like, I feel like he thought he was going to have other crappy money in there, but he didn't. And I'm looking at it and maybe it wasn't intended, but he's like, yeah, it's 20, it's a 20, it's a 20. He kind of slows down and he's like, yeah, I only have 20s. Like, I feel like he wanted a smaller bill.
Yeah, that's great. He would have given him $1, but he didn't have $1.
But he's like, oh shit, all I got is 20s out of this cash machine.
So now he's pissed about that, which is the real reason why he rams into the Corvette.
Yeah. No, I think that's the best part. I think that's the interesting thing that gets under his skin so bad is that Ray is just like, oh, you know what I got for you? Fuck off, with this middle finger. It's not I don't need your money as much as it is just eat a dick. It's really what it is.
Yeah.
And that really razzes him. And the fact that he like reiterates that moment that he gets outside the window.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he holds that finger up pretty solid all the way out the door, and then hold on, wait, I'm not done. I'm going to knock on the window and flick you off again. But then he just, bam, it's just a car,
and he's got the hula girl in his Hummer. Man, this Sai is like classically predictable.
Yes. And, it's speaking of a show of just complete collateral damage, he runs into like another car.
He's actually losing control of the Hummer as he's crashing into things.
Oh yeah, something tells me he's not that great with it. But
yeah, I actually thought he was going to end up, burying that thing into a wall or something, but he did get away. But that could be, a sign of Sai thinking he's in control of things, but really it's all just like driving away from him he's not able to get a grip of the steering wheel when he's trying to play his hand.
Yeah, and I mean, you heard you said you listened to the Hot Dish, and I said even when they first introduced that stupid Hummer, you don't pass the plow.
Yeah,
He drove past a plow. It's like you if you're in the Midwest and those plows are running, there's a huge sign on them that says like stay back like 50 or 100 feet, and they have these lights. But that was technically not a plow. That was a blade.
Yeah, it was a grader.
We know what that was doing on the road there. But so we wrap up here. We wrap up this episode back at Stussy Lots Limited,
mm-hmm.
and VM Varga and his crew they're moving in.
Yeah.
And I love. How about that scene where Emmett tries to hide and the shade is half pulled down, and so he's hiding behind it, but you can still see him from like the waist down.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Oh,
that he's
yeah,
like, oh shit, they're gonna see me, and then he turns.
He's like a little kid hiding.
Yes, he is. And then I love how Sai comes in and is like, oh, no, we know what's going on. Yeah, all good. They're here kind of deal. And they basically get told what's what again for, I think this relationship is going to get more and more forceful because it starts very conversational about things. They know there's two thugs involved now,
mm-hmm.
and that the comment of, we're going to make you billionaires. On paper.
Yeah, but you can kind of
and you should buy more. You should buy more lots.
When he starts talking about that and how this is going to work out and how it's going to be the reason why Varga and his company chose this business was how easy it would be to manipulate the books and launder their money or whatever they're going to end up doing. You can kind of see a little twinkle. I personally thought in Sai's and maybe a little bit of Emmett's eyes where they're like, okay,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to, this could maybe work out if we decide to throw our morals out the window. I thought that when Varga said you guys are going to be billionaires, there was a little bit of a twinkle in both of their eyes, even though they're not like innately like evil or anything. They just thought, well, maybe this could work out. I don't know, or I could be
they
on a whole different.
They want
level.
a little bit of the good life. But I think it drops back down to like just hardcore reality the
when
minute
he's like,
they
on
said.
paper.
Well, no, when he says condolences on your attorney.
Oh yeah.
Also is the moment where they just
remember who's in charge here.
Yeah, just in case you're wondering what kind of shit you're stepping in.
Because that didn't have to happen.
Because he says, can't have people out there investigating things. And I think that's look, we could help make you be rich on paper and some money on your own. And then on top of that, don't go asking around. Don't send people this way, or you can go hang with Irv.
Mm-hmm.
That's the deal.
Yeah, poor Irv Blumkin was probably just, he was one of those characters that just had to die. He was one of those people that just had to die for VM Barga to come in and set the message and set a message. It could have been anybody, just happened to be poor old Blumkin.
Yeah. No, they definitely don't pay him enough.
So I got an interesting tidbit.
Okay, do tell.
So the show ended with Gogo Bordello's American Wedding.
I knew you'd love that. You're the first person I thought of because I don't remember why. One time I asked you about a certain type of music for something else I was doing.
Okay.
And you told me, you're like, oh, you should listen to Gogo Bordello stuff. And so that's like one of the first times. That was years ago when we were still officing together.
Yeah.
Long time ago. But so the minute I heard Gogo Bordello on the end of the show there, I was like, uh-oh, Sharpie's got a chubber.
Yeah, well, the backstory on that is I went to college at Savannah College of Art and Design in Georgia for broadcast design and graphic design. And while there, I met up with some buddies, and we formed a little group called the Dandy Dwarves, which had a short running as a production company for a little while in Los Angeles and San Francisco. Very, very brief. We've all kind of disbanded that since about, well, I don't know how many years it's been, but we ended up doing the music video for that very song, for Gogo Bordello's American Wedding.
Oh, really?
So look it up, folks. That's a Fargo tie right there, even though I didn't really have anything to do with the video. I mostly handled the website of things for Dandy Dwarves, but Dandy Dwarves were founded by 4 of us, still a bunch of good guys doing a lot of cool stuff all around the world. But yeah, I remember when that video was being shot, and one of the producers, one of my best friends, Josh, he called me and he said it was just like chaos. I mean, that band,
really?
if you know anything about Gogo Bordello, they're like crazy. And Josh called me. He's like, I thought I might have to call the cops because
oh my God,
the shoot was just getting so out of control. And if you watch the video, you'll see why. It's just all about an American wedding, a big party. Everybody's getting drunk and dancing and breaking shit and standing on tables and whatever. But a little interesting tie back to Fargo. I don't think Maggie knew that, but that song maybe does have a connection.
Well, maybe we'll find out. So we're working on lining up another chat with Maggie Phillips, the music supervisor, for this season again. So
I think we did bring it up last year. That
we might have.
Who knows? That would be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be cool if the Dandy Dwarves had an effect on a music choice in the show Fargo.
Yeah, Maggie's got a pretty serious pulse on kick-ass music.
She does.
For this stuff going on, but I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think I have anything else, dude. I don't have a who dead next because I feel like we don't have enough characters. That's why I'm like,
right.
Irv died. Okay, great. That's Irv. It's just, big whoop, I mean, it served a very good purpose, but I don't know if it has anything like heavy duty that I'm like leaning towards saying, like, I think we're going to get Cy around for quite a few more episodes.
Yep.
We know we still haven't met, the character played by, Jim Gaffigan that should be coming up and all these things. So I feel like there's going to be some extra character development that goes on in here. I mean, we really still need to find out more about Yuri and Mimo, and all these people. And I mean, somewhere at the other side of this, VM has a boss.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Boss Man.
Will we meet him?
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely still have some characters to meet. The cast this year is smaller than previous seasons. So yeah, in terms of who dead next, I think whoever is dead next will probably we haven't met yet. If somebody dies next episode, we'll probably first meet them next episode.
Yeah.
Because these characters we have, the cast we have now is going to be here to stay. Even like the deputy that works with Gloria. I mean, he's just too probably lovable at the moment to get offed.
Right.
He's kind of a dope,
but what we know, I think, is going to happen here in the not too distant future is that somehow we're going to get back to Gloria is going to be the one that puts together this name change of Ennis, the connection to somebody named Emmett, the Eden Prairie, the Eden this, and that there's got to be some sort of, she's got to be the one that pieces this all together.
Yeah,
because
of course
VM's not doing it. Emmett obviously was completely unfazed by somebody with almost his name getting his mouth glued shut, murdered, broke into, vandalized, whatever, an hour away. I thought I saw that mentioned in an article somewhere, maybe in the New York Times, that I did read a couple quick ones. Or skimmed them is probably a better term, but seeing as you were like, hey, I can record right now, and I just like left my office. But I don't know. Do you have any other major predictions, or we should thank Fargo Brewing again? I know that Fargo Brewing for sponsoring this season. Get out there if you're local. Go check them out. They have their tap room in South Fargo and the brewery in the north end of town that has a great tap room as well. And all sorts of fantastic beer. If you want to learn more about Fargo Brewing, go to fargobrewing.com and check that out. There's all sorts of great stuff going on. They've got events going on at both their locations all the time, live music, trivia nights, all sorts of fantastic stuff. And if you want to just check out what else they have, because Sharpie, do they have their stuff, some of their swag online now that people can buy, or is that on its way right now?
It's not on fargobrewing.com, but I do think they have a Square store somewhere. We're in the process of building an online store actually right now. So,
okay, cool. Well, we'll update people on that. So if they want to do some more stuff, and I'm sure that this season we'll have some other fun swag from them to give away, because I know that we just recently got some fun fan mail from Regina.
Yeah, Regina and Dominic.
I'm saying that right, because Dominic, so people who got some swag from us last year. So thanks so much. So if you want to reach out to us online, you can reach out to @Sharpie, which is @CHARPIE, or me @Lempy, LEMP as in Paul, E. Oh, that's our Twitter handles, or you can reach out to @FargoTalksFargo. You can follow us online at fargotalksfargo.com or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/FargoTalksFargo. Did I miss anything? We're on iTunes. Hey, also, you guys, if you're really enjoying the show, rate us, leave a review. If you hate us, you can go ahead and do that too. We'll be fine with that. But we would love to get more feedback from you guys. Oh, and you can always email into the show at podcast@FargoTalksFargo. We love getting the mail. We do talk about it, and we love giving as many of you a shout out as we can. We have a lot of regular people who write in, and we're so happy to have you guys. So I think that's about it. You've got to head off onto another wonderful adventure in Japan. So we won't talk to you again, Sharpie, until
next week,
next Sunday.
Yep.
So I would like to see if we can get that. I got to check my schedule. I'm trying to set this up. I'm going to find a good recipe, dude. I got to figure out where to do that. So check our Facebook page for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to find a recipe and that I'm going to make just for shits and giggles of a hot dish. So we'll get that going, get that on the page so that everybody can actually make a hot dish.
Yes.
Because you should.
We should all make a hot dish together.
Don't call it a casserole, folks. I did that and Sharpie was so mad at me. So I think that's about it, man. Until next time. Yeah.
Sayonara.
Be safe, man. Adios. Okay, then.
Okay, bye now.